right word. It's on. It's just the mic has been a challenge. Perhaps I can turn myself up, but I'm having to weave it in my beard to make it pick up my voice. Does that matter? I'll try.
We can hear you now.
I sit perfectly still.
It's the bird in the nest.
So my topic today is called intentional cannabis. And so for those of you who don't know me or what I am and do, my wife Rachel and I have a cannabis store here in Springfield. This talk is in no way an advertisement. This talk is going to be much more about plant medicine and different languages that you can teach your body and brain, and different tools you can use to rewire your own consciousness. And so, intentional cannabis is the name of the book that I am writing. That's the first time I've actually said that out loud. But I have the notes in like a chapter outline, and we're filling out the pages slowly. It's not something that I focus on, but I do know that it needs to be done because what I found in the society and the perceptions and conceptions of what people have, there's a lot of misinformation, even in the industry. So cannabis is becoming more and more legal everywhere. There was an enormous amount of propaganda that was put out in the 50s, 60s, 70s, starting like 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, culminating in Nixon's Reagan's war on drugs. Or was it Nixon? One of the old guys that wasn't great. Their war on drugs.
Reagan.
Okay, thanks. Yes, which drugs won unequivocally. It was basically an unconditional surrender. We can go deeper and deeper and deeper into that. The more you dig into the history of all of these things, the more interesting history of cannabis and other illicit substances becomes. And that even comes full circle, because the farther back you go, the more you realize that a lot of maybe next week I will be going more into a lot more alternative plant medicines and alternative things and substances and stuff. But today I really want to keep it very cannabis focused. So I'm going to try to make sure we come back around to cannabis the whole time. And this is one of the languages I speak best. And so cannabis itself has grown up with humanity, kind of. It's one of our oldest friends, one of our oldest teachers. Our body, the way cannabis even works with you is there are cannabinoids. Those are like called little molecules, little pieces of cannabis that all do different things. Your body has an endocannabinoid system that the cannabinoids from cannabis interact with. Now, you naturally produce cannabinoids in your body, the endocannabinoids. You have a system that promotes basically regulation, it promotes balance, homeostasis, it promotes generalized well-being, it helps with all the systems, which is why you find people supplementing their ECS, their endocannabinoid system, with phytocannabinoids, cannabinoids from plants, which you can get them in lots of different places, but cannabis is the easiest place. Then you can find, there's CBD in some pine needles. I mean, there's cannabinoids that can interact with our endocannabinoid system in lots of different places, but this is really, we're not talking about anywhere else other than the main one. I can talk a little bit about the stigma, but it doesn't really matter. Your main two cannabinoids that anyone has heard of is generally THC and CBD. Now we're gonna just a little clarity before I go too deep into the functional usage and the dosing and all of the effects and all of this stuff. But THC is the one that is psychoactive. THC is an agonist on some of your brain cells and some of your neurons, and it it does the stuff. CBD binds with a different but other has a greater binding affinity to the CB2 receptors that are located throughout your body. So in general, you have some receptors in your brain, some receptors in your body. They're both CB1, CB2, and they occur in different concentrations throughout all of your body's systems. And as you consume cannabinoids, they have greater or lesser binding affinity with those receptors scattered throughout. To make things very simple, THC is mostly neck up. That's going to be your brain. That's going to be your mind. That's going to be not as much physicality stuff. CBD is going to do neck down. That's your anti-inflammatory, your pain reliever, your just general kind of a well-being. It's not psychoactive. You're not going to trip on it. I've tried to get any sort of psychoactive effect out of it and taken thousands of milligrams at a time. Just be like, what's this going to do? And nothing. Now, I struggle to notice CBD by itself because I'm not in pain. I will take the same dose that my friend who has bad knees does, and I notice absolutely nothing. And he's like, this is amazing. Like, this feels great. Because the way cannabis and the way your body work together is your body kind of knows what's wrong. Your body knows where the inflammation is. Your body knows where you're struggling, where your endocannabinoid system is failing or lacking or falling behind, and will just divert resources to that. So when you supplement by smoking, ingesting, or taking whatever, when you supplement with a phytocannabinoid, it basically just goes where it is needed and is used where it's needed, because our bodies are fantastical, glorious machines that actually know a lot more than we give them credit for, and how to regulate and how to heal. And so that's kind of where we're going with this talk. It's generally speaking not cannabis doing, or it's not most medicines doing the healing. It's you doing the healing, and the medicine is a tool that is helping you accomplish that. So, where to go? Okay. I'll actually throw it out to the audience. Here I have a chapter on, I can talk about how to use it, what dosing looks like, different methods, and the way you consume, and information about different options. But also, if you're like, no, get to the good stuff, that's great too. But if you have a lower foundational understanding or less of an understanding of what cannabis is, I'm happy to break all this down. Break it down. So there are three or four kind of main questions. You can smoke it, you can eat it, you can rub it on. It's really, cannabis comes in lots of different forms and in lots of different ratios. So CBD and THC aren't the only ones. They're the ones I'm going to reference most, but there's dozens. There's actually over 100 different cannabinoids found in the cannabis plant, and they all do, and then some that humans make, but we're not going to get into all of that either. The plant itself has over 100, and they all do slightly different things. And they all interact differently in your body, and they all play nicely together, and they're all part of a team, which is why whole plant is generally the way to go when it comes to your cannabis products. Now, the main question, like question number one, or question number 1 of 10 in no particular order, is how fast are you trying to get results or relief? And so something like inhalation, you set it on fire or you vape it, is going to be very, very fast, instant almost. As you exhale, you are metabolizing it, and you're going to start seeing the effects within seconds. That is the trade-off for speed of onset is longevity. How the duration of the effect. When you inhale it, you're going to get a much more of a spiky experience. It is absorbed, metabolized, and dissipates very rapidly, an hour, 2 hours, and then you're back to your baseline. The next kind of option, which was really, really popular several years ago, are sublinguals, CBD oils. That's kind of what I got into the game with when that was just developing. And CBD oil, sublingual oil-based carriers. So sublingual is the one where you put the drops. It's not popular now. I'll say that right away. I guess I can't speak for all of the nation. It's not popular at our store. now, but we've also evolved ourselves. I know a lot of people take CBD oil, and it's a wonderful and very flexible and very strong and great way to dose if that's your preferred method. Now, it is in the middle of the time between inhalation and edibles and digestion, basically. And so sublingual, because it absorbs, as you hold it in your mouth, it absorbs into the blood vessels of your mouth. You're going to get 30 minutes, maybe an hour of onset, and a couple hours of duration. And so it's really nice. It's a really nice in-between middle ground mix. And you can get both CBD and THC tinctures. It really just is another type. I'm going to do an aside here and talk about topicals before I get into edibles. Topicals are the ones that you can rub on: a lotion, a cream, a roll-on, an oil, a topical oil. Those are also very, very fast, very, very targeted. My knee hurts, I rub it on my knee, and my knee feels better. The trade-off with it being very fast is it is short duration generally, and topicals don't enter the bloodstream in the same way that some other form of internal consumption will, so it's more of like you're trying to treat something from the outside in rather than from the inside out. So generally speaking, my recommendation for most people is you would find something that you take internally and then maybe supplement with a lotion or a cream, because again, the lotion and cream isn't necessarily going to solve it. It's more of a balm. It's more of a band-aid. It's reactionary rather than preventative, and we're going to get into more of what I mean by that. And the last form of cannabis that I'm going to talk about is, or more if you want to bring them up. The last form I'm going to talk about today is edibles consumption. Like you eat it like a brownie or a gummy or something like that. You eat it, you digest it, and you do it that way. That is the 100% the longest delay of onset. At least an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on your own metabolism, what you ate last, and a wide variety of factors. It's also going to have the longest duration by a large amount. So you eat a gummy, it's going to take 1 to 2 hours. Now some people will feel it in 30 minutes. Everyone is going to be different. You write your own story and you know your own body better than I do. But in general, 1 to 2 hours for onset, and 4 to 6 to 8 to 12 to 20 to 40 hours of duration, depending on, like, you can eat too much and be messed up for days. as your body metabolizes it. It'll stick with you until it's gone. You can't untake an edible. And so what's really important is to be both intentional, knowledgeable, and understand and experience before you get into edibles. The other really fun part of edibles, and one of the reasons that we focus on edibles very strongly in what we do and what we do personally, and what we espouse at our retail store, is when you take an edible, you actually metabolize the THC differently. Instead of it being like delta-9 THC metabolized, your liver turns it into 11-hydroxy-THC, which is like THC's bigger, badder, older cousin or brother, whatever. It's like this is the beastly THC, and that is actually the psychedelic THC. I don't. If anyone has experience taking edibles, I mean, it's really hard to quote trip, and that's problematic language, but it's really hard to trip while smoking weed. The amount that you have to ingest and how quickly you're metabolizing it just doesn't lend itself to a full body experience and out of body experience. But edibles can get you there without too much of a struggle, depending on where you are. And whether you want to let go and release and go with the flow. This looks like my mouse, but there's no laptop. Okay, sorry. Okay, so those are kind of different options, and really, my intention today is to break down a little bit of the conventional view of how THC or cannabis or marijuana or weed is used or has been used, and then kind of the point of my book and what Rachel and I teach at Emporium and just in our everyday lives. That's what it is a different altogether definition of how cannabis can be used to better and further your life rather than as an escape. So we'll start with conventional understanding. Now, the cannabis sativa plant or the cannabis indica plant, there's lots of different strains. And by lots I mean thousands. There's no guidelines. There's no rules. I could grow something and call it Greg's Ganja, and there we go. That was a new strain. And it's probably not going to be that popular because I'm not much of a green thumb. But at the same time, I could sell it and I could do it, and eventually I'd be listed on weed maps. And yay, a new strain. The strain names don't really matter. What does matter is what is inside. Now then, most of you with any sort of passing familiarity to cannabis products have at least brushed into the terms sativa and indica. Or more specifically, if that doesn't ring a bell, you've understood that this bud does, tastes, smells, and is different than this bud. You know, this one's an upper. Oh, this is your couch lock. You know, things like that. Where, oh, this one smells all fruity, and this one smells like skunk, and this one smells like diesel. All the strains have different chemical makeups, different properties. The THC, the THC cannabinoid is the same across them all. There is no difference in the actual THC or CBD. There's no difference in the cannabinoids. What you're smelling and what you are noticing is the terpene profile. The terpene profile. Now, I'm going to get aside a little bit and talk about terpenes. Terpenes are found in all living plants, basically. For example, the smell, the chemical that gives pine needles their distinctive pine smell is a terpene called pinene. Limonene is found in citrus plants, like lemons, perhaps, like lemons generally, and things, and it smells very citrusy and bright. These terpenes are what give lavender its essential oil properties. It's the essential oils of the cannabis plant. It's the essential oils of all of the plants. Linalool is the terpene in lavender that gives it its effects when you either essential oil it or diffuse it or smell it or hold it or energetically absorb it into your own understanding and being. Linalool and the terpenes very much are a huge part of that. So, that being said, because the THC is the same, and you're holding two different plants, this one really amps you up and gives you energy and pep, and this one really puts you down. A sativa, an upper, and an indica, a downer. Here's the conventional wisdom. Now for that, the THC is like the engine in your car. You get a lot of THC, you can go really fast, right? The terpenes are the steering wheel. They're going to drive and direct and guide the experience you're going to have on the THC. You can take a whole bunch of sativa terpenes and just a little bit of THC, and you're probably not going to be impaired, but you'll have the sativa feeling, the upper energetic euphoria feeling, or vice versa. You can take terpenes that put you down and really even skip the THC or the cannabis if you want, and you'll get great effects. All of these combined are what make the plant. That's what makes the medicine the medicine, is the synthesis and fusion of directed effects as well as the mind-altering capabilities that allow you to more easily open yourself, process, and integrate the experiences that you're driving through the use of plant medicine, through the use of a teacher. Okay, so that's conventionally, sativa is your upper. You say, I need energy, right? And so people go, all right, you need a sativa. That's gonna help you out. People come in and they say, I need sleep. So conventionally, indica is your downer, your relaxer, your chill. This is going to be, if you walk into almost any dispensary in the country, you go buy weed from anyone that's a weed guy. That's what you're going to, or gal, that's what you're going to hear is sativa's an upper, indica's a downer, and that's kind of the end of it. So you need to sleep, well, you need indica. You need energy, and you need to do stuff, then sativa. I'm going to challenge that in just a minute, and right this second, does anyone have any questions? Feel free to. All right, cool. I'm going to keep drinking coffee and keep speaking up.
Yes.
Let me get that.
So you're talking about we have these chemicals in our own body, and then you are introducing chemicals for certain effects. And again, I don't have a lot of understanding in this, but I know that if I take pills for a certain thing, over time I become dependent on the pill in order to do that. So how would you say this? You were talking about it helps you to sleep. And then do you become dependent on it for you to sleep? How does it interact like that?
So cannabis is not going to form in general, I'm going to speak in massive generalities. You might say, Greg, I just found this study that said this guy got addicted to cannabis and had a bunch of withdrawal symptoms. Like all things are possible. In general, cannabis is not going to give you a physiological dependency. You're not going to physically get addicted and go through withdrawals and DTs or something like that, like you would with alcohol or almost all prescription medications. But at the same time, if you use a tool like a crutch, eventually your legs will get weak. And it's a little bit less, much less so than even, say, like melatonin. Your body naturally produces melatonin. You got glands in there that squirt melatonin into your brain, and it's like, time to sleep, yay. You take melatonin gummies every night, it feels great when you're sleeping, but that's training your body to not produce melatonin. It's like, you don't have to work as hard. And so then the day you run out of gummies, you're not sleeping because your little gland squirters that make your sleep juices, that's the to get technical, will not function the way you're expecting them to. And so cannabis, of course, if you smoke weed every day to feel normal, that's going to be problematic for you right quick, because that's never the goal of any sort of healing medicine, and we will get into this part as well. And in fact, that is a good segue into uses and abuses, right? The alternate title or the subtitle to my book, Intentional Cannabis, or Why Cannabis Helps Some and Turns Others into Lazy Bums. Because, right, the stoner trope. You smoke weed and you laugh all day and you eat Cheetos and you don't get off the couch. That is the future of cannabis users. Like that's a very real archetype. And so what we introduce and what we espouse is the methodology and the knowledge and everything to use it in not that fashion. The main question you're asking yourself when you're doing any substance is why? Why is going to be the big one. And if you don't even know the why, you've got work to do in the first place. If you can't analyze your own behavior, start with yourself before you take any drugs, or don't. You do you. Your story is your own, and maybe you're learning something now as you recklessly experiment that will help you in 5 years, and you can say, wow, look back at that. That was my first experience without a body, or whatever it was, and you're like, that started me on my journey. I don't know. You do you. But as you see people take cannabis, I'm gonna stay here and not like branch into cocaine or heroin. Like I'm not talking about anything but cannabis products. Okay, addiction is addiction, and seek outside help if you are unable to overcome it by yourself. People smoke weed. Weed is, or marijuana or cannabis is extremely accessible and has been forever. I mean, that's just been a part of it. When anyone takes any sort of drug or any sort of substance that alters their mind for good or ill or anything, the question of why is of paramount importance. And the main split here, or three splits perhaps, the easy and surface level answer is it's fun. It's for recreational purposes. I'm gonna smoke this drug. I'm going to giggle at a really bad movie, and I'm gonna eat a bag of chips and socialize with my friends, and it's fun. That's great. Now, and the same as having a glass of wine. The same as whatever humans do to commingle. It's part of the lived experience is to do stuff together socially. Now, you get into the smoking weed every day, you get into the I wake up and I don't feel normal until I smoke and things like this. And these are mostly escapes. You use cannabis to escape your life. You use cannabis to escape the bad thoughts. You use cannabis to make your job not suck your soul as much. I mean, I am not going to blame you for getting high and going to work at a fast food job where someone yells at you like, "Oh, get through the day." You know, people use cannabis, but again, that's not the intended use. That's not the use that furthers or greatens yourself. That's just like you can do it with Instagram, just like you can do it with Netflix or media or heroin or whatever. You're looking for an escape because you can't handle your life in the now. You can't handle being in your body, experiencing what you're experiencing. You feel powerless, and then find something that makes it okay even for an hour. Well, you're going to do that every hour on the hour. If you can't fix it, you are left unable to live without some form of escape. Escapism is huge in our culture right now, and cannabis can help you do that. I mean, when people come in and one of the ways I'll talk to you is, how deep do you want to go? Right? You just want to mess me up, man. Okay. Yeah, that's a solution. You can just turn yourself off. You can just escape and disconnect, and that's it. That's not healing. So there is no judgment, and maybe it is healing for you. What we talk about quite a bit more, the third one, recreation, but understanding that it's recreation rather than using escape and calling it recreation. I smoke weed with my roommates every day, and it's just for fun, you know. But then we use it to remove the internal accountability of sitting on the couch for 8 hours a day, because then I'm not being nagged about not being productive. But then when I sober up, it all comes back. And I feel like I have to be working, and I feel like I have to be cleaning and all this stuff. But if I smoke again, this movie's awesome. And you get to escape, turn off. We espouse functional cannabis, intentional cannabis. We teach intentional cannabis use in our organization, and this is kind of what one of the languages that I'll be speaking as I develop as a teacher, is be able to guide people through this. Now, the difference is THC. THC is a really cool molecule, and is capable of lots of things. It's not capable of all things. Mother Gaia is a teacher, right? Psilocybin is one language. Ayahuasca is another language. Lots of different plant medicine teachers. And so, for some, THC is one message, and there's other ones that will do more for you. But again, you need to if you're going to use a plant appropriately, you have to understand it. You have to be able to hold the message that it contains within you, or else you're going to miss the point. A solution, or a lot of people have misconceptions about both THC and its use with other pharmaceutical alternatives for rewriting bad habits, for changing your behavior, because that's kind of what it's all about. Your consciousness shifts, and unless you change your behavior, and unless you change your actions and your physical activity, nothing has taken place. You have not completed the puzzle. And so yes, you want to be better, your mind thinks it's better, but it's not reflected in your outside life. You're not doing it. It all has to come together as one. You say, I need to work out. You could think that all day long, and unless you're consciously making those changes in your life, you're not going to realize the results, at least very quickly, or in a way that makes you satisfied on this plane of existence. You heal your whole heal all of your mind and your conception of yourself and all of this, but again, in a lot of cases, I'll touch on the whole, if you conceptualize lifting weights for a while, you do get stronger, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to say, if you want to get stronger, you're going to pump iron. Okay? And we can talk about the power of the mind, but I did that, I think, last time. And John did some too with that. So, what cannabis can be used to help you do as a tool is I use it for focus and clarity. I use it for putting a smile on my face and being able to. It gets you high, and so a lot of my talks and a lot of the way that I conceptualize the nature of reality and your consciousness as a whole is